Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, paying odds NASCAR style, an oval experience. I am your host, Paul Napier, and you can tweet me at NASCAR Style Odds. This episode is being sponsored by 5dimes.eu. For a reduced juice bonus, please visit theoddsbreakers.com/5dimes and click on the banner to get better lines than the average sports books. This is episode 2 of the Oval Experience. Each week, we will go into track facts, history, trends, and what to look for before placing bets for this week's race. This week, the Monster Energy Cup Series will head to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the running of the Brickyard 400 on Sunday, September 8th. This is the final race before the chase for the Monster Energy Cup begins. There is a lot of unfinished business because there are 4 drivers who still have a shot at the final two playoff positions based on points, while there are others who have a shot from outside the top 17 or 18 at winning this race and punching their ticket to the playoffs. So this is a lot to take into consideration, along with Indy being a fuel mileage race or a race where wrecks have taken out many good cars. Indy had long been an open-wheel racetrack where the likes of Foyt, Unser, Mears, all of which have won the Indy 500 4 times, were the establishment of the Yard of Bricks. But then, in 1992, NASCAR began to feel out the Brickyard for a possible stock car race. They ran tests in 1992 and again in 1993. And then in 94, the inaugural Brickyard 400 was ran with the likes of Earnhardt, Gordon, and Martin. This was an interesting dynamic for sure. Open wheel and stock cars are totally different, as well as their fan bases. Many of the Indy diehards, both drivers and their fans, were not happy that a NASCAR race would be taking place at the heralded Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where racing open-wheel cars dated back to 1903. All of this coincided with NASCAR's movement from the southeastern United States. Soon after racing at IMS, NASCAR would begin building tracks in Kansas, Chicago, Fort Worth, Texas, and Fontana, California. NASCAR's growth and popularity were growing at an accelerated rate in the 90s, and much of it was because of the split of Indy cars. So this added to the disdain for NASCAR to run at IMS. In the previous 25 NASCAR races that have been held at the Brickyard, the starting position has been key to running well. Last week, we went over that it didn't really matter where you started from in Darlington. Eric Jones started 15th and won the Southern 500. This week at Indy, it's all about where you start. And here are some track facts that back that up. Of the last 5 races at the Brickyard, only one winner has started outside the top 10, and that was Casey Kane in 2017. And if you remember, half the field was wrecked in the front stretch, and the 5 was able to stay away from the car. In the previous 25 races at the Brickyard, the pole winner has gone on to win the race 4 times. The last was Kyle Busch in 2016. Also, from the top 5 starting positions, 12 out of the last 25 have won, and 15 out of the last 25 have won from the top 10. And only 3 times has a car come from 21st or worse to take the checkered flag. Oh, and just in case you have forgotten, Kyle Busch has won the last 3 Brickyard poles. Drivers to watch for this week are Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, and Denny Hamlin. All of them have an average finish of 10 or better in the last 2 Brickyard 400s, while having an average starting position of inside the top 5, except for Ryan Newman, whose starting average position is 12.5 during that time. You know, I'll be interested in 4 of those 5 drivers this weekend. Logano might be one I'm looking to pick against and stay away from because he's finished outside of the top 10 in his last 5 races during the 2019 Cup season. Another driver to avoid or pick against is Jimmy Johnson. JJ has an average finish of 21.5 with no finishes in the top 15 during the last 2 races. Yes, he's desperate for a good run, but from what I've seen of that 48 bunch, they are not putting it together this weekend. Also, take a look at Kyle Larson this weekend as well. He has an average of 21 in the last 2 races with a high of 14. That's interesting. Overall, in his career, he has been good at Indy, with an average finish of around 9. However, the reduced horsepower package has not been kind to the California kid, and he's had some poor showings at IMS. So let's move on to this week's free pick. I'm looking at the matchup of Ryan Newman plus 120 versus Daniel Suarez at minus 160. Lopsided? Maybe. Let's look at this one. These are 2 of the 4 drivers who have a legit shot at making the playoffs on points. If you remember last weekend, these 2 had a run-in at Darlington, where Newman blamed Suarez for wrecking him and said he owes him one. Doesn't it feel like Suarez has been in a lot of these instances this year with other drivers? Doesn't it feel like the 6 has just been racing their asses off to be in this place? Newman has been decent at IMS, with an average in his last 2 starts at Indy with 2 top 10s. In his last 7, he's had 4 top 10s along with 2 11th place finishes and a DNF. Suarez doesn't have the body of work that the Rocket has, with only 2 starts in the Cup Series and just 1 top 10. Oh, and remember what I said about starting position? Yeah, Newman has an average starting position of 12.5 over his career, while Suarez is 17.5. I like the veteran here, so I'm taking Newman in a 20-unit wager for this week's pick. For more free picks, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and click on the link for this week's race. If you like what you heard, shoot me a message on Twitter at NASCAR Style Odds. Hey, even if you don't like it, let me know what I can improve on. Constructive feedback is welcome. Hey, thank you for subscribing, downloading, and listening to Paying Odds NASCAR Style. And until next week, keep researching, keep winning, and have fun.